Hi everyone, hope everyone is well. I've recently bought The Last Gamble from Compass Games. This is a Battle of the Bulge game. It's designed by Danny S. Parker, who's a notable historian on the Bulge. I've got numerous of his books. I've got, 20, 30 books on the Bulge. In fact, by coincidence, I also have one of my favourite books on the Bulge by the same author, Danny S. Parker. And in this video, I'm going to do an unboxing. I'm going to show the components, give some initial impressions and thoughts, but also a little bit more than that. I wanted to just talk about this project I'm doing for the channel. I wanted to play a very detailed Battle of the Bulge game this year. I haven't played a Bulge game for a couple of years. The last one I featured on my channel was Mark Simonich's Ardennes game. That was a couple of years ago, and I thought it was about time. And when I saw this came out, I think last year, I kind of hung my nose over it quite a lot. And with different projects and work, etc., then wasn't the right time. But now is the right time. And I wanted a Bulge game that was very historically detailed. I wanted one that had a very historical, correct and detailed order of battle. I wanted a game that was significant in terms of its footprint. I don't really cover too many large monster or mini monster games on my channel too much, and I wanted to rectify that. And I definitely wanted something hex and counter, and this sort of fit. This game just completely fit all those criteria that I have. So I picked up a copy from the good people at Second Chance Games. I've got a completely blank table over there, ready to put the game on, and it will be the next game that gets onto that table. I can fit larger games on that table, but this is a 2-map, so it sort of fits comfortably on the space that I have. And it definitely fitted all those sort of criteria about historically authentic and accurate. And what I want to do this year is feature this game quite heavily on my channel. So I'm going to do the plan is to do a whole series of videos about the game, after action reports and thoughts and analysis, both on the game and in context to the history that it covers as well. Last year, I did a lot of personal work on the Bulge, quite a lot of reading and history, analysis, and etc., and sort of a deeper layer of thought and thinking and work that I did, which I enjoyed very much. And I wanted to play a game that could sort of tie some of those pieces together. And this game definitely looks like it's going to fill that and more besides. So I'm very excited to get it on the table. So what I'll do today is just go through the box, see what we get inside for our money, and then get it all clipped and onto the table and do some further videos as well. But no further ado, let's have a look what you get in the box. And it is quite heavy, so you get a lot. So if we have a look at the back of the box first, we can see the complexity 7/9 out of 10, and there's no doubt about it. This is a very detailed game. Time scale 8 hours, 8-hour day turns, 16-hour turn night turns, 3.2. I was going to say 3.2 kilometers per hex. Regiment and battalion scale. Suitability for solitaire 8 out of 10, which is great because that's how I will be playing this game. Average time 3 to 8 hours for the scenarios, 20 plus hours for the campaign. My plan is to, on this channel, certainly feature the scenarios, and I may do a full campaign run as well. Depends. Originally I thought maybe I'd just go straight into the full campaign, but I'll probably make a decision based more on when I've been through the rule book and the scenario books and see what I think. But it's good that you have those options. You don't have to play the full campaign. There are shorter scenarios available as well. We've got a list of our components, 5/8 inch counters, and truly a book you can play. And this is one of the things that's really drawn me to this game. I read an awful lot of history books, and the idea of playing something like this to this level of detail is very engaging for me, and it's one of the main reasons I picked this game to play next. So next up, we'll have a look at the different books that you get. So the main game rules book is coming in at just over 70 pages, 72 or 74, something like that. And from what I quickly had a look at, it's over 60 pages of actual rules itself. It is full colour. I'll just turn a few so you can see some examples. It is a nice sizable font, which is great. I use reading glasses for playing games and reading rule books. It is full colour. Everything I have read online is saying the same thing, that it's excellently written, which I'm looking forward to reading through it. It does, even though the page count is quite large, certainly a large font and spacious, which is going to make the reading of the book much more pleasurable, and also it will help when referring to the rule book during play. It's one of the things I look for, is how easy is the rule book for not just reading the rules, but also for reference while you're playing through the game. And I'm not going to go through all of these. What I'll probably do, as I do my videos actually on playing the game, I will definitely touch on a lot of the rules, so I can see it is very detailed. It does use the standard, which I'm more than familiar with, sort of formatting of rules, which I like. It looks very, very detailed, which is excellent. It also looks very nice and spacious as well. Yeah, it looks really good. Everything I've read online from people who are playing this game are saying consistently the same thing. Here we've got our special units. For example, here. This is very interesting. I'm trying not to get too distracted by wanting to read through the book, but you can see it is a sizable chunk of change in terms of the rules. Very detailed. It's going to take some time to go through and digest the rules. How I like to play games, especially at this level, is I'll read the rule book, I'll get a map out, move some counters around, or start a scenario, and for a little bit of time just to go through the basics, and I'll go through the rule book again, and then I'll go through the scenario again. Start the scenario again, and I like to learn the rule book in that way. So let's have a look at some of the other books. So we've got our game booklet here, again full colour, 82 pages this one. So looking at the index, we've got our scenarios, our game variants, and a ton of designer notes, and then a section about the game as history. And so you can see very detailed, nicely laid out. Again, a nice readable font, which is great. We've got map examples. We've got our scenarios here. I need to work out the first scenario. So Wachtam Rhine, obviously 16th of December to the 2nd of January. That will be one, the full scenario. So the last Blitzkrieg. And then we've got more descriptive text. Again, very nicely laid out, very spacious. Looks a really good Battle Before the Muse, 23rd to 26th of December. I would imagine that would be one of the shorter scenarios, so maybe that's one of the ones I'll start with first. Yeah, it says actually using a smaller map. Oh, we'll have a look at that when we have a look at the maps. You can see, looks excellent. Yes, excellent. This looks, yes, definitely a lot to digest, a lot to take your time over reading. And for someone who spends, basically when I'm not playing war games, not designing them or drawing them, I'm reading history books. So perfect. And then here we have, and speaking of that, here we have the last of the 3 books, which is the historical study. And as I said, I've read some of this author's work in book form, which I very much enjoyed, and will be using as reference as I play through the game. Again, full colour. So this is historical situation, historical summary analysis. Well, this is exactly what I was looking for. We've got our German order of battle with the different armies, Allied order of battle, evaluation of unit combat strength. That will be very interesting to read through that. So looking forward to getting stuck into this. Again, nice readable font, high quality. The paper type, the finish is excellent. It's very unusual. Oh my goodness, look at all this. It's very, very unusual to see. So these are references, and I can see some of the books I've got in my collection and some I don't, which is, oh no, more books to buy, what a shame. Yeah, absolutely excellent. And it's very, I was saying, sorry, I got distracted by the excellence of this book. It's very unusual to see this level of detail in a war game. In history books, you know, many of which are on my shelf behind me, you know, it's completely different, but in a war game. And it's very, very compelling to have the two things combined into one game to this level of detail. Oh my goodness me, this is exactly what I was looking for. And for those gamers who are watching this or interested in learning more about this game, I would say if you've got a keen interest into the detailed history of the Ardennes in 1944 and 1945, then this looks excellent. One of the approaches I'm going to take, especially as I'm flipping through these books, that I can definitely see and had in my mind to begin with, was as much as playing the game, using this game as a study aid, joining the dots between my knowledge of the history, or a deeper understanding, a deeper study, a deeper sort of questioning of some of the historical facts, which I'm going to find very compelling. And I will, as I'm playing through the scenarios, I'm going to be talking about a lot about that. It's one of the reasons I really wanted to get a game like this onto my channel, to do something different that I've never done before on a channel. I've done plenty of this sort of work for other projects, but never on my YouTube channel. So, right, I think next we'll have a look at some counters. Now the lighting in here is a little bit cool, so I think looking at the camera, these are actually the colouring isn't completely correct in the camera view, so please bear that in mind. They actually look a lot richer in colour than what I'm seeing on my camera. But certainly in terms of readability, as I've mentioned before numerous times, I wear glasses for playing games. I can read everything very clearly. Everything's nice and spacious. The trim, the cut on the counters is very neat. It's not cutting into any of the information. We've got nice pieces of artwork here for the armour, and got some engineers, infantry, as you'd expect, arty, etc., etc. And they're very, very nice. I'm going to carefully move them because I don't want the counters to fall out. Compass game counters fall out of the sheets very, very nicely, very easily. And again on the back, again, this looks very tidy, very readable, very clear. Excellent. And we've got some British counters. That's a point of interest, probably not really to anyone else, but certainly to me. My grandfather was in 30 Corps Recce, so he would be one of these Recce counters here, which is cool. We've got more counters, got different types of armour here, some tank destroyers as you'd expect for Battle of the Bulge, for the Ardennes. They look very nice. Again, Wehrmacht counters look great. Planes, nice artwork, very nicely done. I'm just going to go through these quite rapidly. Got some Jagd Panthers by the look of it. Jagd Panzers, pumas, etc., etc. And again, infantry, very clear, nice colour, no colour bleed, everything's very bold. We've got the sort of standard black for the Waffen SS. They're interesting, sort of mottled effect, which is quite nice. Gameplay counters, again, very clear. All the fonts nice and big, very easy to read. Just turn this one over randomly on the back. As you can see carefully, they look great. Yeah, these all look absolutely fantastic. And you've got 6 sheets of counters. Absolutely excellent. Compass make very nice game counters indeed, and these are excellent. So here I've got laid out some of the variety of player aids, and it's just phenomenal. I've just been through them very quickly before I would press the record button, and the sheer amount of player aids you get is just phenomenal. I don't have anything in my collection like this, and it's the detail. Everything is nicely laid out. There's a sort of format that once you understand it, I can see will make perfect sense. It's spacious, it's very readable, I'm not sure if the colours are coming through on the camera or not, but the colouring is very clear. Everything has got a very elegant, I would say, so graphic language. It's eloquently done. Just the font use, everything's aligned. Everything just looks absolutely, and there's just so much of it. It's phenomenal, in a good way, because this is definitely a game, and this is one of the appeals for me for this game. This is not a game you're going to just get off the shelf, put it on the table, and an hour later be playing. I just don't think that's going to be the case. I can see myself spending a couple of my game session slots, if you will, on my free time, simply going through and setting the game up. And I love that because it's a really absorbing, rewarding part of learning a war game. You know, I get a lot of pleasure from setting games up. And I get a lot of pleasure going through orders of battle and looking at all the materials and understanding them and reading them. So absolutely, I mean, it's just phenomenal. Here we've got, these look like scenario player aids. Oh my goodness, look at this. So what we have here, this is for Wachtam Rhine. So this, I would imagine, is the big scenario. And here we've got all the different British units, their historical arrival date, their historical entry, obviously the gameplay, release dates, historical release restrictions. I mean, goodness, this is definitely going to be a game to absorb and to learn and to study and use as a study. And I mean, it's just phenomenal. And it's just for one scenario. So here we've got temporary rules tables. I did see that I didn't call it out in the book, but one of the things I did notice in the one of the books about the scenarios is a lot of optional rules, which I don't know if this is referring to that or something else. High water mark of the Battle of the Bulge. So here we've got some of our more standard player aids that you would expect in a war game, such as combat result tables. You get a couple of dice with the game, so I mean, here we've got die roll 0 to 7, so it's not a as you'd expect, it's not a rolling lots of dice type game. Got very nicely done terrain chart. I do like, because I read reading glasses, I do like very readable player aids. It really helps reduce the friction of playing a game or learning a game. Enables you to focus on the game itself and the subject matter, which is excellent. More combat results. Oh, okay, here we've got some examples of play. So movement examples. And I like them as a player aid as well. Air operations examples, excellent. More details of the scenarios, optional rules and oh my goodness. And it goes and on and on. So here we've got optional rule lists, game variant lists. I mean, you're getting a phenomenal amount of game for your money when you think about how long this game is going to take, and then think about all the options that you could then use in your gaming sessions. Phenomenal. I'm going to say that word a lot. It's just incredible. Just the detail. So here's our turn record track. So yeah, I mean, this is not a game. This is going to be, for me, it's going to be quite interesting. I've dedicated a whole one of my large tables to this game. I'm lucky I've got plenty of space, and I can see you're probably going to need it. Even with the smaller scenario. German temporary rules tables, for example, and everything, all the tables I can clearly see laid out very nicely. A lot of information, but very readable by all intensive purposes. Air tables, commando tables, historical weather tables, excellent. That's what I'll be using. Bridge dem. Oh my goodness. So and so on and so on and so on. So I don't want to go into each of these individually, and I need to learn the game before I can really talk about any of these play rates. But they look great. Language is great. Spacing, readability, phenomenal. The card stock is excellent. You're getting a massive game and investment for your money. No two ways. Right. I think the last thing we should have a look at is maps. So what we have here, this is the Last Gamble Battle Before the Muse map. So this is, I would imagine this is the map specific to one of the scenarios. From what I could ascertain looking at the contents, it would suggest probably one of the first, if not the first scenario you should play. We have a turn record track up here. It's just slightly off camera. Looks like 7 turns from the 23rd of December in the afternoon or the evening. It's a PM turn through to the 26th of December PM. The map itself, in terms of its stock, it's like a thick card stock, not what I would call paper, but it's definitely, it's a thickish card, and I will obviously be playing this under Plexi. The artwork of the map is fantastic. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. What I'll do is, I think when we get the two maps on the other table, we might zoom in a little bit on some of the artwork. But even at this size, from the camera, the artwork of the map is absolutely gorgeous. One of the things that's really cool is that we've got all the contour lines and on the map, which gives it sort of a historical flavour. It feels like you're thematically it's in keeping. The graphic style. The other thing that's looks really clear is the graphic visual language of the map. Looks very readable, but also very thematic and very functional. And that's, for me, that's the magic of a really good wargame map. Is it needs to look really good. It needs to aid gameplay, not hinder gameplay, but also needs to be more than that. It needs to have something that makes you feel like, whilst you might not be in this location, you feel like you're involved in the history in some interesting way. And this definitely, it is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. What a phenomenal piece of work. So yeah, all hats off to the persons involved in creating the map. It's absolutely incredible. And there's so much detail to all the naming of all the towns and villages and landmarks. By the look, we've got some gameplay orientated information here. that looks very clear. So you probably can't see it on the camera, but we've got some question marks with a yellow in a yellow circle, which one would assume is gameplay related information. Very clear, very readable, just absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic map. Even for this smaller scenario, it looks extremely playable in terms of the map layout and map design, and extremely engaging. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm going to set the two maps up on another table, which is bigger than this one I'm videoing in a minute, just so we can get some sense of the two large maps. So I've got the map laid out, and I've tried to match it up as best I can. I've got one bit of plexi. Obviously I'll be playing with 2 bits of plexi. Camera's a bit shaky because I've taken it off the tripod so we can have a little zoom around, as it were. And again, the map is absolutely fantastic. It will lay flat under plexi, obviously, so when I get to play the larger scenarios, or the scenarios that use the 2 maps, I will put 2 pieces of plexi over the map, and it lines up beautifully already, even though I did it quite briefly. Got a beautiful spring day here in Lincolnshire, here in the UK, so I've had to close the curtains and film it under light, so maybe the colours aren't coming out as quite as rich as they are in front of me on the camera. But the colouring in person is absolutely fantastic. Again, very readable on the maps, very detailed. The level of attention to all the locations is, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this in the Battle of the Bulge game before. So in terms of main areas, it's quite difficult to do whilst holding the camera, but my geography is right. Baston should be somewhere. Let's have a look. Somewhere. Oh, there it is. Right where I put my finger, which is foolishly off camera. So if we just have a look, and you can have a look at some of the artwork here. Very readable, as you can see. The content of all the hexes, the locations, the detail, and then this should be just here. Yes, there it is. Again, all the rivers, etc., bridges. Let's have a look at some of those. Watermarks here, bodies of water. Just incredible. I mean, again, just such a piece of work, really, for everyone, and congrats to everyone involved. Hat off to everyone involved on this project. Absolutely fantastic map. Absolutely incredible. A good, like I said, it does look, time will tell when we get into playing the game, but a good combination of readability, function, so gameplay function, like you can clearly see. Let's just zoom in on this bit here, just near my camera, so you can see. Function for the hex content, the terrain types, but also thematic. Like when you're playing a big war game that you're going to spend 10, 20, 30, whatever number of hours playing, you do need, in my opinion, the map needs to look amazing, and this absolutely does at this scale. So and it's actually quite devoid of player information in terms of aids. There are some wargame maps, half the maps player aid and stuff like that, and I don't just like that either. But this is not. This is just purely the map, which is great. But it does mean, if I zoom my camera out, it does mean that you're going to need a fair table, definitely a fair size table to get the map on and get the player aids on. Thankfully, I do have such a table that I'm playing this game on. I actually have smaller tables to the side as well, should I need them, and I think I probably will. It's definitely and I mean, it looks great. I mean, it looks absolutely great. And again, if you're playing this solo like I'm doing, and you're going to have it set up for weeks, if not months, every time you walk past it, you want to think that looks awesome. what a great map, what a great game. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. As you can probably tell, I'm extremely excited about this game. It is just fantastic. I had expectations, high expectations. I knew people were saying it's really detailed. I knew people were saying you got a lot. The box was heavy. It's full of good stuff, and I really didn't appreciate that until I've opened it up and gone through it all. The rule books look. I think the rule books alone, and the historical study and the game booklet, I can see me spending many happy hours going through those and reading and learning about the game. Counters excellent from Compass Games, as you'd expect. The finish on everything is just brilliant. Certainly from a printed production perspective, this is absolutely excellent. I think I cannot think of a better double map type war game like this, to this level of quality. The map is just phenomenal. I've still got it on the table over there, and every time I look at it, that just looks amazing. There's definitely, I mean, I can't recall what the gameplay weight on Board Game Geek is, but it's 4.3 or 4.4 or something, and it looks like that sort of game. It definitely looks like a very detailed, a very in-depth, a very historical, authentic level of study as a war game. That's why I got it. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want. And boy, oh boy, do I think I've got it in spades with this. It's going to take quite a bit of time to get it onto the table. It's going to take a lot of study to get playing. Those sort of war games 100% have their place in the hobby. They are a very compelling and absorbing part of the hobby, and I love them for that, as do lots of other gamers. And I can see you probably won't hear anything from me for quite a while while I get stuck into this. I'm only joking. What I'm going to do next, I think, is probably spend a couple of evenings going through the rule book, and probably the game booklet. Just make sure what I've said in this video. Of course, I've never been through it, so I've assumed that the battle before scenario, this one here on the smaller map, is the one to start with. Pretty sure it will be. Whatever it is, that's the one I will start with, and going through and reading the rules and getting some counters onto the board, getting the dice ready, making probably a ton of mistakes. That's okay. That's part of learning. That's part of the fun of wargaming. You should feel no pressure to ever get a game to begin with and just be a master at it. I mean, what a load of nonsense. That's the fun, the enjoyment I get learning. I love learning about history. I love learning about war games. And this has it in spades. But from a production point of view, from a first impressions point of view, it's absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I'm really looking forward to getting to the table. Now, if you have played The Last Gamble, any hints and tips you can give me of where to start, anything else you think I need, I'm going to go have a look on Board Game Geek, which I've deliberately sort of stayed away from a little bit for the entry for this, too much, because I don't want it to sort of sway me too much. But if there are any additional anything from the designer or from the community that would help ease of play, then I'm all ears for that. So please shout that out in the comments section, and I'll get happy to print all those stuff out and include those into the gameplay sessions that I do. But I'm very much looking forward to getting to the table. Very much looking forward to, like I said, taking my time. So probably something episodic, where I feature several videos on each scenario, etc., etc. But this was an expensive, for me, this was an expensive game. I'm going to be honest, it was not a cheap game for me. This was the higher end of the monies that I'm able to spend on a game. But I felt, knowing Compass Games, knowing the designer, having read his books on history, I felt like this was this was going to be a good investment, and I can clearly see just certainly from a production point of view, certainly from the components point of view, I'm really happy with the decision I made, and I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into it. But I also recognise it's not going to be an overnight thing, and that's okay. That's what I want. I want something to study and to learn from and to invest that amount of time into. And I'm going to invest that amount of time on my YouTube channel as well. So if there's particular things you're interested in, please shout that out as well. I'm eager to get stuck in and start covering the game in detail. Like I said, if you've played it, any thoughts, please put a comment in the comments section. I'm certainly very keen to hear from the community about this game. And yeah, this is going to keep me entertained for quite some time. Certainly going to keep me out of mischief. But I do have a few other projects. I've got my own games that I'm working on. I've got a few other collaborations that I'm doing. So I've got to also cool my heels a little bit and be prepared. Probably can't just completely hold myself away for a few weeks playing this, which I'd like to. So I will be playing, an hour or two, sort of as and when I can through the normal, week, etc. So it's going to be set up on the table for quite some time, but that allows me to dedicate that amount of time to it. There's no rush, So thanks a lot for watching, as ever, and thank you.